Good morning. Good morning. How are you today? I know, don't sing, don't sing. All right, we are on. Things are swimming. On Instagram, we're swimming. So the rest of you can't see, but anyway, I've got a filter on that. I'm in the water. Yes. How are you today? What's going down in your town? Hello, hello, hello. Talk to me, people. All right. We have something awesome. Well, what I'm teaching, I think, is awesome every day because it's a mystic path. It's mystic aspects of, looking at many different paths. Let me just record here. So we have many paths. And with the mystic eye or the mystic truth. So what does that mean? Well, whatever you want it to mean, really. But for me, it's about the connection or relationship with the beloved, what I call the beloved. And I will show you many different ways over time, but also you can go back over the last month and see what we've been talking about for March into April. And there's so much energy. I mean, there's always energy. Everything is energy. But for some of you, you'll be experiencing surges at different times, and there are reasons for that. There are gateways that you have access to. So we are going into one now, basically. So welcome. No one's speaking to me yet. That's okay. I can see some of you. All right. Bit shy. Last night, I stayed up pondering. This is what I do because I got to get up early and do my workouts and whatnot. And I was looking at, okay, what didn't I say yesterday? What do you need to know today? What do you need to know that maybe you've just come on. If you've just come on and you don't know who I am, I'm Cynthia Harrison. I'm a mystic medicine woman, and this is going into holistic mysticism, where we can use this information for our personal journey, our healing on the physical level, soul level, and our spirit level. It touches into every level of our human evolution. Okay. So let's get on with it. If you're in the mastermind, I've sent you the link. If you haven't seen it, check most of you, I sent it through Messenger. Kate, if you're watching, I sent it, I believe, through Instagram Messenger because I couldn't find your Messenger. So come over to the Zoom, ready for the mastermind that we go directly in after this. So if you want to be part of the mastermind, you can join us for a month for $30, but you can jump in for 2 days just to check out what we do and the replays. So there's copious amounts of replays in the portal from our masterminds this month and last month. So yeah, you're welcome to join us. All righty. So yesterday we talked about receiving. Do you remember? Hey, Lisa, did you get the link? Did you get the link, Lisa? Sent you the link. So be sure to come over. Yesterday we were talking about receiving, the ego, and how that relates to this particular story that I'm sharing. You know, receiving is very feminine energy, being the receptacle. Giving is very masculine energy. And we have both. Good, good, good. We have both. As women, so some of you maybe identify as men, right? But as the feminine and the feminine body, you know, we have a particular role on this planet. Men still have these energies, the masculine and the feminine within them, but they're in a masculine body. So there's a slightly different fingerprint to that frequency. Okay, so I'm talking to both and all, and also showing you slight refinements in how you can navigate in your identification on this earth, the miniature human. So today I'm going to be talking about the miniature human, or the physical, you and I, as the drop from our greatness, right? And our journey back. So I'm not going to go back over everything we've taught. Needless to say, you know, we were talking about receiving. So if you just come on, you can still follow. All righty. Energy is different today because it's morning. Oh no, yeah, she's here. She's here. It's all right. Welcomes. People still coming on. All right. So we have this energy where we can receive and we can give. Most of us, because of our conditioning, we're used to giving, and giving often, most of the time, it's not really selfless. And I do talk about there's energy in our human grid, and there's different virtues, right? And this one here is generosity. And when I would pick that up in people's fields, you know, if I'm doing a energy alignment or something, that generosity, I've talked to them about being generous and generosity, right? The thing is, what's missing is they'll say, oh, but I'm very giving, and I give to people, all the rest of it. But when I question and you know, ask them questions and sort of to highlight what this actually means, is that they're giving and there's frustration or resentment that they're not receiving something in return. They're not being thanked, or some response for that reciprocity. You know, there is no reciprocity. It's like somebody's giving and they're not getting anything in return. But pure generosity is giving without wanting anything in return. And many of you will say, yeah, I do that. Okay, maybe you do. Contemplate it a bit deeper. When we receive, many have a difficulty in their receptivity. Why? Because it takes some vulnerability. It takes some vulnerability. You know, if we just bring it down to relationship, physical relationship, you know, you want to be courted and some sort of, I was going to say sacred seduction, you know, some connection intimately before you receive, if you know what I mean. I can't say too much or they'll cut me off, right? But you understand what I mean. It's not just, you know, jump in and you're giving, but when you're giving, you're taking, right? You're not receiving. So this today, finding my way, because it goes to something very deep, connects to the beloved and the beloved's name, and the shift in the name from our journey, and why it's so important that we make this journey. as humans, right? And then at another level as women. So we've got the I'm going to start with these three. So MA, my painting, you starting to see it? It's these three, right? And this one. So anyway, that was a little code, but you'll see later when I show you my painting what's been coming through. And I'm sharing some of it with you. Oh, on Instagram, you can't see my drawing. There you go. I have to move my little phone. There you go. All right. So this could be seen as an aspect of us. This is Malhut. You know, and it is that drop, right? Or you could say this drop, because if we got, you know, Bina, I'll try and write Nita today. Bina and Hokma and crown or Keta. So bringing it together, because the ultimate reason why we're doing this rise, this movement, or our spiritual development, and you know, we could call it ascension, awakening and ascension, right? And then descension, soul embodiment. The work. So I'm using a particular model today, but I can explain it in other ways, in other models. So don't get put off if you don't understand, or you're not from these traditions and whatnot. I'm just using this one because we're in the time, and Queen Esther, Esther keeps coming in, and she's showing me, and it's been for the last few years. And now she's showing me even deeper what to share for humanity to understand their journey. But, you know, we'll also go into other traditions and you'll see the same thing. It's just that right now we're going into this. In April, we'll talk about something else. So we have the name. Well, I'll get to the name in a minute because that's the key. So here, these two are there's no separation, right? There's no separation. So let me, because if I draw, I go off on my tangents a little bit, which is fine because we get some good stuff. But let me pull it together a little bit, because I want you to, I'm inviting you to contemplate how you are receiving. How do you receive when you are given to, you know, someone might give you a gift of flowers, bake you some bread, bring it over. My friend used to do that every Wednesday. She would bake bread and she'd bring it over to me so that we could hang out. It was awesome. I miss her. Anyway, she'd just rock up on my doorstep, and I came to know, oh, okay, yeah, it'll be her. Just made room for her to receive, right? Why? Because people want to bond with you. They yes, they're still wanting something. It's building a relationship. So really what we're getting at is, when is it ego and when is it ego less? Well, as humans, it's always going to be a little ego, because until we make that journey back to here, where there's no ego, it's ego less, right? Because when you are receiving directly from the beloved, or you could even, but it comes through. By definition, it's egoless. So you still can be receiving from the masculine, right? When you get to this part of your development, you're receiving as the feminine, you're receiving from both. Right. Just give you a moment to take that in. Don't go into your ego and think you're better than, right? Why not? Did you just say why not? I can read lips. I'm not sure that you did say that, but maybe I said it in my head. I don't know. All right. So when we're receiving, it's egoless. There's a vulnerability to that receptiveness. We become the vessel, the receptacle of the light. The physical body is the vessel for the light coming into the vessel, right? So there's multiple things going on here. The ability to give and receive with equal grace and beauty is the feminine, right? So either the feminine in the masculine or the feminine in the feminine, but this is the quality. Because when we get to here, you're all of it. Like you are, I am that I am, right? This is the divine. This is beyond. So this isn't earth. This isn't earth. This is not earth. This is not an earthly experience. And actually, we'll see if we get time. Maybe in the mastermind, we'll go into those levels of worlds so that you can see where this is at, the different worlds, right? This is the humanness, the physical. Okay. So yesterday we were talking about how do you know that whether you're in your ego or not? It's not as simple as this. And I was talking to Eric this morning because there's a way that I work with the numbers. Actually, I might have my chart here. What each there's so many different journals and they're particular for different things because I write down what each number means. So all the qualities of 9, all the qualities of 7, all the quality, and what they are is the love and fear of that number, or the karma and dharma of that number, or the light and the dark of the number. So I was saying, because I'm always thinking or feeling or listening, however you want to put it, how I can give to you, how I can unfold this so you can see it better, you can receive it better, to help you feel safe in being that receptor of this sacred information. And so this morning I was like, if I do the same for what I'm talking about, maybe you'll be able to see it a little clearer of, well, when are we in our ego and when are we not? How do we know? Do you remember that conversation yesterday? Yes. Rebel's like, most of you that I can see are saying yes. All right. So I was contemplating that as I was exercising this morning, and I'm like, if everything while we're here is pretty much fear, right? Because it's the physical. We're in the dark. Oh, you weren't here for the entire time. See, that's why I couldn't get a yes from you. I was like, why isn't she saying it? Because you weren't here for the entire time. All right. So, this was the contemplation for yesterday. The main key was, how do you know when you're in ego or when you're not, when you're being selfless, or you're being Vashti, Queen Vashti, or Queen Esther, the light or the dark feminine. Whether you're trying to get control or you're influencing in your power, those sorts of questions. So I was contemplating it this morning, and that's sort of what was coming up, because because of the mind, the density of the mind trying to keep us safe and secure. That's a key. When we start to contemplate things that can come in and corrupt it, or trip us up. So anytime, this is the simplicity of it, and I'm going to continue to work on ways to share it more clearly and maybe do that chart on how you know, right? But you could do your own. You could start looking at, well, what would that mean for me? Am I in my ego when I'm giving or when I'm receiving? Am I, you know what I mean? Like, what's happening? So some key things, two really, is when you're defending yourself. When you're defending yourself. So if you're in a conversation, you start defending yourself, that is, you're in fear. There's a fear. The second thing is, actually, there's three that I'll give you today, and then I'll get back to this because, well, maybe I don't. Maybe we don't have to go back to what I planned on teaching you, but the sensation in your body, how you feel it, the sensation. Do you have a sensation? If you're speaking to somebody and there's a sensation in your body, and you're going to argue me, your ego is going to argue this point. Are you already arguing it? Not be truthful. Are you arguing? So if I say, if you're feeling anything as a sensation in your body and that's fear, you don't have an argument to that. You don't go, oh, but when I'm feeling love, I'm feeling love. I have a sensation of love. How can that be? You don't have any of that. You're scared to say either one. Yeah, I guess that can be scary. I don't know. Just remember, I don't yell. For love, I wonder. Yeah, see? Thank you. Because these are my questions too. I have a very inquisitive mind. When I get information from spirit, I didn't just go, oh, thank you. I'd go, really? That doesn't quite make sense, right? Some of you have been around for a while. I would get information and I'd be like, really? No, you're joking. You want me to do that? Really? Right? I wasn't the pure receptacle. I wasn't just going, okay. I'd be like, are you sure? So if you're anything like me or how I was, then, I do. It takes a while for me to get it. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with, I'm not making you right or wrong. This isn't a judgment. This is us looking at, are we doing this? Are we not? It's not like, oh, you're a bad person for doing it. You're a human. Full stop. Or period, I think Americans call it. We say full stop, capital letter. That was the in primary school. So how do we know? So we feel a sensation when someone's talking to us or we're watching something, we feel a sensation. That's the first thing. And if that's the only thing you're doing and recognizing this sensation in the body, which is because it's working through your energetics and touching into your nervous system, and the nervous system, all arms of the nervous system, wherever it goes, I don't care how the brain is part of the nervous system, right? It goes all the way through your body, all the nerve endings, everything creates sensation. You're feeling something. If you're not feeling, I mean, I won't go into that today. That's another, I was going to go there, but I won't. And then you can go, are you defending because you're telling a story? Or they've told a story, you feel something, and then you defend through your story. Meaning, well, it's as simple as that. You're telling story. So rather than saying, well, everything is story to some degree. This is my point. It makes it really tricky because I can pull something apart like nothing else. But is that my ego trying to justify something? You see? It's like everything we feel and sense, and it is all fear because we're here in the physical. That's part of it. We dropped. Earth, heaven, earth, heaven. If you're in heaven, then I'm seeing you as spirit, which is quite possible. Happens. The deities come to me too, right? It's like, oh, but are you earth? Are you like, where am I right now? Whatever, right? But as a human, and if we can get that, whatever tradition you're looking through the lens of, that we're here on earth, and the earth, is the feminine. We are the little humans that were birthed from the feminine, from these deities that you might call, I'm not going to go into that today. I'll confuse you. But that is a key. When I started to see, everything here is in the dark. Everything here is in the dark. The light is enclosed. The light is concealed. Where? I just said it. In the dark. The story of Queen Esther and the king, Hashverosh. Hashverosh was the dark king. The light was Hashem, which is God in Jewish, or Adonai, or whatever you want to call it. In the scriptures, whatnot, they say Hashem, right? God. So who was Queen Esther going to on a spiritual level? So on a physical level, she was going to Hashverosh, the king. He didn't kill her. He received her. He received her to some degree, right? Because he didn't kill her. And it says he reached out his, the scepter? Meaning if the king puts out the scepter, I have this. All right, this is my scepter. You come and stand in front of me and I go, that means you're not going to be killed. In those days, for that sort of tradition, right? You're not going to be killed. At that level, he becomes the light. So she's now standing in the heavens. He's received her. He invites her to be his queen at this level, and they both wear the crown. Supreme equality. She is now fully queen in the spiritual level, in the spiritual realms. They start coming back together like Adam and Eve. When they were, before they, right? So this interesting? Yeah. Okay. Well, you're not asleep, so I'll keep going. You know, I just want to look at the time. All right, so we'll do this last bit, and then we'll move over to the mastermind. But so giving and receiving, and you know, we'll talk about that. That's going to be continuous. In some way, shape, or form, because it's key to what we're here. So there are steps, but what I want to say before we round off, I want you to know that in the dark times, in the darkness, we need the Esther, the moon. She's reflecting the light of the sun until we step into that and meet and shine as brightly as the sun. That's the metaphor. That's the story of the moon and the sun. It's the same. The moon is diminished, so the moon is only waxing and waning and doing these cycles and reflecting the light of the sun in what? The darkness. The woman reflects the light in the darkness. What's happening with your neck? Stop moving. We need to, right? We have the capacity, let's put it that way. We have the capacity to be the reflection of the light in the darkness, to assist others to see in the dark, to illuminate, to be able to reflect. Why? To be able to rise and become that luminary. And why I'm telling you this story, like, disregard the archetypes, if you like, if you will, but the archetypes are shown in all of the scriptures, in all of the ancient texts. You'll see the masculine and the feminine, the love and the fear. You'll see it in everything. Once you start to really embody it, you literally, everything you look at. And and this is why I started studying the ancient Hebrew, not the contemporary Hebrew, is because, you know, every object is classified as masculine or feminine as well. It's like these layers upon layers upon layers of the, you know, these love and fear, or masculine, feminine, right? So love and fear in themselves are not good or bad, positive or negative. They have a role, right? So it's so what just came up then, it's important to know that it's on multiple levels. It's not just macro and micro. So macro, the whole story, and this little human, mini human, the miniature man and woman, the supreme man and woman, or masculine, feminine, mother, father, and the mini mother, father, the little ones that have diminished. And there's a process. So Bina is the receptacle for Hokmah, right? And the dark is the faith, because when it's dark and you can't see, you need some faith to keep going, right? And women, the feminine in the woman, our role, a big part of our role, is to influence, to support man right? On this level, this physical level, there's influence. So as an Esther sort of energy, we're influencing rather than power over, which was Vashti, the ego, wanting the power, wanting to climb back and get back whatever we feel we lost or we don't have or whatever. We're fighting for it. We're not seeing the beauty. This is key. We're not seeing our beauty as feminine, the power in itself and what the role is, right? That we have a particular role as little human, but as also as little women, miniatures of, our ancestors and these spiritual archetypes, these energies, these, whatever you want to, So the moon is the receptacle for the light of the sun. Vina is the receptacle for Hokmah. Right. So let me get to this name because I want to wrap up. I think I might need to write it. So we've got, in the scriptures it says something like when the Messiah returns, the name of, they don't say God, this is the name of God, right? Oh, you can't see it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There we go. You see? Right? But at the time of all of this happening, where we are, right? The Vav turns to the Yud. So there's a difference here and here, and I've been talking about this. It's interesting because when I was sharing this morning, in English, so in our English letters, it looks like this is the one with the drop. Do you understand? So it looks like this would be the lower one because this is the drop. But in Hebrew, Yod, so Y is Yod. That's how it's spelt and said it's spelt in English. But in Hebrew, it looks like sort of looks like that. It's a little sort of apostrophe thing. You can look it up. It's the Yod, the tiniest Yod, right? And the Vav or the Wav, it's also in the older ways pronounced as W. So that's why sometimes you'll see it as, and they'll pronounce it Yahweh. Don't pronounce it that way. It's Yod Hey Vav Hey. It's letters that are showing you something about what they're talking about. It's not a name as such. Well, do you see? It's like, so we're trying to make it into a name, but they'll say Adonai or Hashem, right? You're not supposed to pronounce this, right? So, this Vav or Wav is, and it doesn't matter, they look the same. It's the same letter. It's just in English that, it's the same little Yod with a tail. So you would think that would be that one, but it's this one. Anyway, just another little contemplation that, this is how my mind works. I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's actually not that way. So why I'm telling you this is because this is the name at the moment, but we have the capacity to bring that into one. What does that mean? What does it mean? What does it mean when we're coming into one? When God is coming into one? It means that the aspects that have been diminished are coming into one, where these are the same. You sort of seeing why I'm showing you in this tradition, because this tradition really maps it out, really shows you. I mean, it's hard for you to, you probably wouldn't find this anyway. Like, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Just receive it. Right? So one more piece. One more piece. The Vav turns into a Yod. The Vav turns into a Yod. He no longer needs to give. So he no longer needs to give the love or the light, because she has direct access. They're supreme equality. There's no difference. God becomes the name Yod Hey, representing women's ascension to her full potential. This is woman. See, I got to keep saying it, because I don't want you to run to your men and say, oh, no, or whatever. Or you men to run to your women and say, because it's so multifaceted that if you think you're more than, there'll be a flip. And if you think you're less than, or there'll be a flip. You're all of it. But we have particular roles. And if we step into our role, into our power, whatever that role is, and do our part of the process, then we will get this, which is bringing heaven to earth, the revelation of heaven on earth, unconditional love. At the moment, we need conditioning in our relationships, because we're not there. Some of you might think you are, but come talk to me. I'll show you. But we'll have a discussion. There are moments of that. There are moments of, we are, but these are such, it's like the light at that level will burn us up. It has to be brought down through these eminences, right? It comes in, and then into all of these to us. That's how we can receive the light without it burning us up. And you'll hear that in every tradition. That's why there's so much fear about Kundalini and all of these other activations, because and a lot of people do, it's happened to me, and it does fry your brain a little. It does. And you remember my story a few months ago where my brain just felt like it was melting, and I had to bring the energy down, because, it was to do with some of this. But because I'm aware of the energetics and what's happening and the stages of, what goes on for me, I have the tools to be able to negotiate that rather than going into fear. When I say going into fear, I mean the fear of fear. So spiraling in the fear, because I'm just with the fear. Oh, okay. Like there's some stuff going on, right? So feel it, get some information from it. Like, okay, what do I need to do to support myself, or to, you know, take care of myself in this moment, rather than going into, call the ambulance or whatever. Like, if you need to do that, do that. But I know that I can navigate my body, right? So I didn't go into fear. I went into receptivity of, okay, what's going on? What am I receiving here? And what do I need to do to be able to receive more without it frying my system? So that's that. All right. So are there any questions on that before we switch over? Because I don't think I think that's enough. We went a bit over, but not too much. You know, I've got to start keeping these parts shorter. But yeah. So how you doing? Let me see the chat. So that tail goes back up. Yes, the tail goes back up. Yeah. Yeah. Because this is the tail and it goes back up. But it's the on one level, there's the, yeah, maybe I won't confuse you. Maybe we'll talk about it in the mastermind. The Hebrew letter W to V. The W to V is the same thing. This, sorry, Nicole. Yeah, this is just time. So the the Y, you mean? Yeah. Okay. So this is the same. It's just the ancient Hebrew will say wow, and my understanding, because I learned biblical Hebrew, not contemporary stuff, because the ancient texts aren't written in contemporary Hebrew. Right, Hebrew was lost because of the Jewish history and how they were, you know, prevented from. They lost their language. So when it came back around, there's I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of the history of it, but yes, Nicole, yes. So yeah. I mean, that's enough to contemplate. That's a lot. That's a lot. I don't usually share this sort of stuff publicly, but well, we went there. All right, so we're going to go deeper in our mastermind, and we'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. So 2, 3, 4, is that 5 Pacific and 4? What's Eastern? Oh, Eastern's more, isn't it? 5, 6, 7 Eastern or 8? 8 Eastern. See, I can read your lips. All right. So anyway, we'll see you then, and we'll break this down into a model that is easier to see in relation to your relationships in this life down here, which I said we were going to do today, but you didn't get this piece. You didn't really get this piece. I feel like you got this piece today. And it's okay if you didn't. We can go over it again and again, you know, in different ways, because everything I teach you is I mean, it's got nothing to, I mean, you can take all this out, like literally get rid of the whole lot. My core teachings for the last 20 years have been, we've got the energy of the masculine, the feminine, This is your head, this is your body, and right, this is the energy I've been working with in higher energy understanding and activation, and the feminine drops, right? And within these grids, and we have these different portals, whatnot, but these main grids are the work, your spiritual, your physical into your spiritual development, so that as these two meet here, that vortex shifts. So it's very much like the name shifts. This vortex shifts and becomes, just want to make sure you can see it on here. As we touch here, so in science, so Dan Winter, you know, we talked about this because I would talk about, he's a scientist, but he talks about the two pine cones kissing and the charge that it creates. There's a charge that's created, and the nuclear fission that is created within the physical system for that movement to happen. That's why I'm saying there's so much charge. And when you're charged, oh, this is awesome. This is so good. Like, if I do say so myself, like if your charge is held in unresolved trauma and attachment stuff, and the circuits aren't being connected, right? So something happens here and the charge goes out, but there's something stops it here. The action isn't going right around to create the circuit for, oh, you can't see. Whoa. Sorry, I just dropped Instagram. No, you can't see. Hang on, how can I? There you go. Oh. Give me a moment because my computer wants to shut down. Cancel. There we go. All right. So that charge is held, so you can't utilize the charge in your body. You can't utilize that charge for this process. That is what I was just teaching you through the scriptures. This is the energetics of it. This is what I see and experience and work with, how it shows to me in different ways. I see it in everything. So there's a charge that happens here. Or maybe we won't do a full mastermind. We'll just this can be the mastermind. But as we continue to develop, so there's a charge, and this starts coming up higher. See how there's the crossover? Oh, what? Do you remember the model I wrote yesterday in the mastermind about the general state of consciousness and the crossover? I just saw it here. It's like, as I teach you, I see another way. It's like, oh, okay, I must remember that, because I was teaching you general state of consciousness. When there's rage, there's a crossover. Remember that model? Or when there's grief. We're working with this window, and well, I do in therapy, right? So I help people to integrate that even further, so they've got more of a crossover, so their worlds are coming together, right? So that's the psychology of it. That's the relevate, that's the regulate to elevate, that's the regulation of our nervous system, our trauma and whatnot. So that's that side. We, you know, as a seed for now, we'll go deeper into it as we go along. But the spiritual aspect, see, it's in every model. I can show it to you. You know, it just, you know, takes me a moment to be able to see it. So I just saw this one. Well, it becomes this. some people call the Merkaba, yeah, or the light vehicle. But it's also this is going on another little tangent, but we have the star of we have the star here. Anyway, so we could go on and on and on, right? But my point of telling you about this is that when we merge heaven and earth, so this is the earth triangle, and this is the heaven. So it's about bringing heaven to earth to create that light, that, so we're projecting or being the birther, which is, if you want to look at it as Eve or Kalima, or, like the birther, the creator, birthing from, it's just birthing the whole lot. So the name of God becomes the name of, like, we become. I am to the beloved as the beloved is to me. I am to the beloved as the beloved is to me. But also I am to the beloved as the beloved is to me. On this level, I am. So the Y and the H is the masculine and the feminine. Oh, you can't see that either. But you are, right? So the Y to the H, Y to the H, this masculine to the feminine. I am to the beloved as the beloved is to me. So you got that and that, but you also have that and that. Okay, my job here is done. You're all enlightened. You're all. The thing is, we don't have to wait. We don't have to wait. Like everything's saying, oh, the return, the return, the return. You can start your journey now. You can start being that now. And by being that now, we are creating it. It's like, do we wait or do we walk? Right? Do we sit back and wait to receive, or do we give and receive? Do we receive and we give? I've got I've taught it once, but a whole teaching on just receiving and what it means spiritually. So we'll see if I get that out at some point. So, all right. No questions on Insta, or we'll wrap that up, and we shall see you tomorrow. And I'm going to go over to the mastermind. So much love. May the blessings be. And let me know what comes up for you in relations to what you saw. You got to go over and see Instagram, because I'm like in the water. Whoa. Okay, ciao. All right. And the others, we shall see you tomorrow as well. Yeah, but if you want to come over to the mastermind, get on the link. Come over.